I'm a huge fan of the Duffer Brothers. I love the combination of practical and CGI.
Yeah.
How does the nose blood work? And is it always is it CG? Is it real? Because I always wondered how it works in the sequences.
That's a good question.
What did
I genuinely think it's a good question.
Yeah?
No one's asking about it.
No, nobody ever asks about it.
Are you serious?
No, not
I want to know how it's done.
Yeah, no. One
Oh
person
yeah, me
asked
too.
about-
I do want to know.
Well, there was
Yeah,
a
you guys
few.
were there.
Well, there was a few. In season 1, I remember they would inject a little blood up the nose, and they would wait for it to trickle down.
Yeah.
But then it was too slow.
Wait,
Yeah,
why do they
so
do it
then we
now?
made a different formula where it would go a little bit faster, and then that formula was too liquidy. So then we actually got the perfect formula in order to put it up my nose, wait
And
till
then
it dripped.
let it
And
fall.
so then by the end of it, I kind of got the hang of just putting it up my nose, holding it up there, saying
And then-
action,
and then just coming down.
and then
Yeah.
going, all right, everybody ready, and then
I don't think there's any CG.
there has been a couple times,
If
but,
it's like a
but that's
really?
sometimes because we are just like
So cool.
in a rush, or
Yeah.
I didn't
not,
know this.
not very many other times, yeah.
My favorite scenes in the whole season of this particular season when you guys sneak into Day of the Dead. And I've snuck into so many R-rated movies when I was a kid. Do you remember the first R-rated movie you snuck into?
I think I've never been like
I
told
never
like you
snuck-
can't watch it.
I snuck into Ted 2.
Oh, I love that movie.
Did you have to sneak into it?
I was with my parents, so
Okay.
it was fine. I could go with, but the first movie that I like, snuck into.
Did
But
you
I've
not
never
touch-
had to sneak in.
Well, I bought it. I had already seen Inside Out, which is and so we. Okay, so I had seen Inside Out, and the plan was to go buy
Inside Out,
Inside Out
the animation?
tickets. Is to buy Inside Out tickets and then go and see Ted 2.
Right.
I had already seen Inside Out, so that was fine. It's not like I bought a
Did
ticket
you
to
like
Inside
Inside
Out.
Out?
I did, yeah, I loved
It's
it.
a great.
But then I went
my
to
second
then I went to
favorite.
Ted
Inside
2.
Out.
So
Yeah.
and I went with my friends and we had a good time.
So one thing I love about the show, the music. Oh, what was your sneak in? I didn't.
I actually
you didn't
never
have. Okay.
snuck. I don't break the rules.
The music in this show is incredible. The Duffers are geniuses, and I would love to know what like '80s audiences would think of Calpurnia. I would love to know what they would think of your band.
I think that I don't know. 80s audiences. I think that there's some 80s influence.
He doesn't want to blow smoke, but they'd love it.
Yeah,
I mean, his
everyone loves
music's
it.
sick, and
It's
especially with the
unbelievable.
rock and roll, I could totally see it being played on
Yeah,
our
me
show.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
They should. Oh my god, that'd be cool.
that would
Yeah,
be cool.
Duffers.
Yeah, it's
Get me
a
some
song in
get,
this
get me
season.
get me to write some songs for the Duffers.
Yes.
I'd be
Oh
down.
my god! And then on the
That's
screen
amazing.
it'd be like music by.
Then Wolfhard.
I don't know if the music would be by. Maybe they'd use a song.
Yeah, but then what? If
I'd
in the
replace
credits?
Kyle and Michael who did all the
No, but like Anfin.
yeah,
Kyle.
yeah, and
And
Finn.
Finn.
yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thanks
you.
so much.
One thing I noticed in this particular season is you're generally in the same clothes the entire season.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to know about the continuity of that as actors. Like, will you jump in and out of like if the clothes are less distressed in one scene than more distressed? Like, how does that work as an actor?
Luckily,
was
we
several.
we shoot in a block sequence where we're doing 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. So you have some sort of. It's not like you're going from like clean cut in the first to the end. But
Okay.
yeah, you're generally jumping in
Yeah,
between.
it's definitely not
so-
like chronological, like
Yeah.
based on like scene order, but it's not as sporadic as like.
But there are
you might
multiple
think.
versions
Of
of
this-
every costume.
So
yeah,
crazy.
because
Yeah.
you gotta. The hardest part is probably for like hair and makeup to try and like make sure that
Match.
like
Yeah.
continuously.
kind of
yeah.
keep everything the same. The hardest part was like making sure that all my props were in line because like I have
Oh,
a
like
ve-
they didn't-
I have
the
a
wires,
vest, I have the
batteries,
vest, the wires, the
he's got
batteries,
all
the
these little,
screwdrivers,
the gum, the
yeah,
screw, yeah, he's
the
got
gum.
the
I tried to
gum.
chew a piece of that
The
gum.
gum.
It was from 1985.
Vintage, yeah.
Wait, you actually put the older gum in your mouth and
Heck
tried
yeah,
it?
I
That's
did.
insane. Wait, they
Of course
actually
I
brought the
did.
gum from the 80s?
It tasted like it.
They traveled back in time to the 80s.
I mean,
It
there's
was
a
like-
lot of the props they actually like find on eBay, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of these bags of chips they'll like source and buy.
The Coke
Yeah.
cans and stuff like that?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I thought there was like a Taco Bell coming soon sign.
Oh,
That's
I
my favorite
love the
restaurant. I was like,
detail. Oh
that's
my God.
amazing that was
Yeah.
in there.
The old logos are the best.
I agree with you. I
yeah,
miss the old
I love
Taco
the
Bell
old
logos,
logos.
man.
I just got a retro Uno deck.
Oh, that's
And it's
sick.
like it's so cool. It's
Dude.
sick. Like why'd they change it?
Do the walkie-talkies actually work? And I know they work, but do you actually hear, like when you're on the walkie talking to any of the characters, are you getting any of their voices back to you?
Sometimes it's usually not the other actors. It's usually someone in the crew or Matt and Ross reading off camera, reading the dialogue. Because a lot of times when, especially with the whole with the whole child labor laws thing, like a lot of times you can't.
That old thing.
That
Yeah.
old thing. Who needs that? But So a lot of times, like, the kids need to be in school when they're not on camera.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in the middle of a shot and I need to read, or, like, whenever, like, you guys are doing a shot and I'm not there because I need to be in school, a lot of times a
Someone
crew
else
member
will
Still
read,
gets
will read it. And a lot of times the walkie-talkies will work. Like, not always, but it's cool when it does.
They worked, but we couldn't hear anyone on there. But yeah, the frequency you heard, all the sounds and stuff, but it didn't work.
But if you're talking to somebody who's not in your
Yeah.
shot with you,
They
you're not
weren't
getting that
connected.
voice?
No.
That's unbelievable
Yeah.
to me. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I know it's filmmaking.
Someone would just do the lines behind the camera, and I'd be like,
Yeah, usually,
Mike,
like,
over, yeah.
Sean is
or
like
Miss-
screaming the
at you.
lines, yeah.
My favorite thing about the Duffer Brothers, two things. One, they combine practical and CGI effects masterfully. Two, the score of this series is a leading character. The music is genuinely a like
You're getting me
the
pumped up.
pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, as a musician, because I mean, I know, like, I was curious what you think 80s audiences would have think about your band.
Oh, I have no idea. I used to play this band in Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of all over the place, the band and the music, which is something that I really enjoy about
That's
it. But I
awesome.
think that probably people listening to it would be like, "What is going on? What is going on?"
What genre would you put it in? It's hard
It's
to...
like kind of psychedelic,
Like a
music,
Black
I guess.
Sabbath?
I bet they would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Cool.
probably would say
Nice.
like.
I want to see you
Yeah.
and your band. I you're not in the band anymore, but
Yeah.
your band and Finn's band go on
Yeah.
tour together.
I mean,
that
sure,
needs
yeah.
to happen.
Sure,
Like
yeah.
call it Stranger Things reunion or whatever. And I
Yeah.
would pay $1
That would
million
be cool.
to
Sure.
watch
I mean,
that.
I almost
Sure.
think almost every actor in Stranger Things is in some sort of
Yeah,
band.
yeah,
I got it.
seriously.
And, yeah.
You sing as well.
We're releasing music within the next 2 weeks.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 2 singles coming out. I don't know if they're coming out at the same time or one's coming out before the other, but...
Season 4 is actually a musical.
I actually would watch that in 2 seconds.
you.
Guys, thank you so much. This is an
Thank
absolute
you.
honor to talk to you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Very
much.
much.
Seriously,
Nice to
thank
meet
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to ask you about that because I have never interviewed you before about
yeah.
the van flip in season 1. You said that it was shot separately, but can you walk me through how it looked on set for you? And you said it didn't flip the first time.
Oh yeah, I remember them telling us that they were about to do the van flip, and I was like, oh, we're gonna be actually under the van when it flips over. So they're like, oh no, that would be super dangerous. But they pieced us in, and of course in editing. But I remember watching it the first time. It didn't flip. It actually just skidded across the road. So I'm glad we weren't there. But it was crazy to watch.
You know, the Duffers are amazing because they love practical effects. They like try to get as much as they can in camera. On season 2 specifically, because we can't really talk a lot about season 3, what is your favorite effects shot that you've been a part of? Like that just blew your mind, like in person? And you can stick on 2 if you want, because I don't know if we can go into 3. Yeah.
I mean, I think on in the bus scenes when
Yeah.
I look up and I scream at the Demogorgon. I don't know what I was screaming at the time, but just
Like a tennis ball or something?
yeah,
Yeah,
honestly, I think it
literally, yeah.
was. But then looking back and like seeing the full edited version.
What do they
was
give you for
crazy.
like wind and stuff? Like they just like blowing fans in your face?
Yeah,
and
they're
stuff?
they did. They had a fan so that it was
yeah.
like the when it roared. I kind of
Oh, okay, that's what they did. Oh, I had no idea.
I've always been fascinated by this because you guys are such a great cast. Is there a big group text like that you guys are all on?
We do have a group text, especially when we're filming. Just
Okay.
say, hey, are you guys going in today? Or let's go to Six Flags. But we don't really text on there anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we definitely have one, but I don't know how active it is right
Okay.
now because we're so busy.
Yeah. Now, there's a great scene in the first episode of this season where they sneak into a Day of the Dead, the R-rated movie Day of the Dead. And I was just curious, what is an R-rated movie you've snuck into?
I don't know if I've ever like snuck into one, but
Or watch
sometimes
one
they
of your
just
parents.
Oh,
Yeah.
I went to go see Us.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Isn't
that was
amazing?
R-rated.
Did
Yeah.
you snuck in?
No, I didn't sneak in, but they just let me in. Like they didn't check.
Did they say, oh, we know you from Stranger Things? Or?
No, they were just like enjoy the movie.
Oh, they didn't
yeah.
card you?
No.
That's amazing.
But like it's not that scary.
I know. But it
I
was
mean, and
all-
I get scared really easily.
Yeah, that movie was amazing. Though.
No,
So
yeah, it was.
good.
Oh my gosh.
We haven't talked about
We
it.
haven't
4
talked about
times.
it.
I saw
Yeah, I
4.
remember you were saying we should talk about it, but we haven't. But
Yeah, we will talk
amazing.
about
Go
Us.
again. The second time's even
Oh,
even
I
better.
bought
twice.
it because
went twice.
yeah.
Lupita's performance is completely
It's
different.
I know,
oh
it's
my
so
God.
different.
Yeah, I know we're
so
geeking
many
out. Yeah.
clues. It's an original piece.
So good.
I think the accent thing is so fascinating to me because you nail it. It's like unbelievable to hear you talk in real life than hear you on the show. Are there specific words that are harder to get down, and do you stay in it throughout the day even when the camera's off?
No, I don't stay in it when the camera's off. I spent the whole 3rd year at drama school extracurricularly learning the accent. I had a little, like, almost like a podcast that I'd listened to, and I played it on the bus and when I was going to sleep and just kind of lived the accent. I think the hardest thing is, like, what they call, like, I believe the rhotic R, which is, like, we say part. We don't pronounce the R, whereas you guys say part.
Yeah,
right.
wow.
And I think that's a big part of linguistically. I think maybe the difference between our accents.
Do you ever find yourself switching into American in your normal life? Like
only when I tell Americans my name, because
Really?
people say Dacre, which is a perfect example, and you guys say Dacre. Because it's
That's
like
funny.
acre with a D. So I find myself, we were just talking about this, saying, hi, I'm Dacre here, and hi, I'm Dacre.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
The music in this show, to
Yeah.
me, is a leading character. The Duffer's score, the score there is insane.
Yeah.
Because the show is so musically balanced with that score, do they give you any of that on set? Because it does perfectly align with the way you do your
Totally.
performance.
I think it's definitely part of the heartbeat of the show, and I think, you know, a lot of the time we're given a lot of guidance around, like, when Billy's first opening scene happened in season 2, I was asked by them, what song would you like for that, where we pan up from Billy's boots to his jeans.
You chose that?
No, I didn't choose it, but what I'm saying is they open up this forum of, like, what do you think? Here's what we're thinking. What would you... And I think the thing I chose was Iron Butterfly in a Garden of Eden. And, you know, go listen to the song. But
I'll check it out.
That's like my thing with them, is they're so open to discuss
That's
everything.
amazing. Now, obviously, it was a great moment in the first episode, because we can't talk about it a lot, but the kids sneak into an R-rated Day of the Dead, George Romero film.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you remember a movie you snuck into as an R-rated?
Well, my dad actually took them to, he took me to them. He copped a lot of flack from the other parents. He worked in the film industry, and he would always want to take me to films and explain things. I remember I must have been only 11, and he took me to Blade Trinity.
That's amazing.
Which was like super violent. It was like sex and blood and like the C word and like all this stuff. And I just remember he took my other friend, and the other friend didn't have the same parents that had the same looseness of you know, moral whatever. And I remember this kid came out going, holy shit, I'm so scarred. Like I've said, you know, and I was like, dude, but you haven't seen Blade 1 and 2? Wesley Snipes is dope, you know what I mean?
I watched Blade 1 the other day. It's so
It has
freaking...
aged so well.
When he throws that thing around and slices all their heads off.
Did I sneak into one?
I snuck into a cinema, but it wasn't for an R-rated movie. It was because I wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to go into that specific cinema.
Really?
Yeah. Well, what had happened previously? I'd been there with like a big group of friends, and we were being loud, and you know, we were ruining the movie for other people, and just those kids who nobody wanted in the theater. So they said, "Oh, you can't. You know, they kind of banned us from the theater." So I thought, if I spray my hair with a black spray can and put a hat on, I'll get in and I'll sneak in. And
what was the movie you snuck in for?
I want to say Over the Hedge.
Ooh. The animated movie?
Yeah.
That's so random.
Yeah, I don't know.
You snuck in for that film?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good story.
So not an R-rated movie.
Do you have a sneak in story about any R-rated movies
Do I have a sneak in? Not maybe to a theater. Is Titanic R? Is that
13.
Ah, 13.
Yeah. Did you have to like watch that behind your parents'
I know.
back or
I have a
something?
very vivid memory from being a little kid and like watching it behind the couch and maybe getting in trouble for some reason.
The Shining,
imagine why.
actually.
What?
I snuck into The Shining. Just came to me.
That's
Not The Shining. Sorry. Never mind. It's not The Shining. It's the one with Signs. I don't know why.
Oh, M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Heck yeah, man.
I snuck into that actually.
That's cool. I love the idea of your internship at Hawkins Post, and I know this is probably a question you're probably going to get a lot on the press tour, but what internships have you each had in your own lives? I mean, have you had internships? Have you done them before in real life?
Not technically. I haven't.
I mean, I once. I worked.
Scooters.
The what? Yeah. Oh my god.
What was that?
I had to work in a work placement for it was like a month. No, 2 weeks. It was in a mobility scooter shop. So what I had to do, basically, I had to take old people, and they'd come and they'd either pick up a mobility scooter. So I had to like test these little scooters to make sure they were charged and running. Or some of them didn't want to be on the scooters. They were a bit scared to be on the scooters, so I just pushed them around and take them shopping in a mall. Actually,
Sounds idyllic.
I did that for 2 weeks. I loved it. I remember Annie B, if you're watching.
That's amazing. All right, well, first of all, congratulations to you both. I find it interesting how the directors are in each episode. So I believe you do 1, 2, 7, 8.
That's right.
Sean does 3, 4. So how do you decide who does those?
Well, I think because we're we're writing, so we try to bookend it. We always like starting it off, just getting back into the groove and being there with the cast at the beginning, and then we have to go off and write. And so Sean, I think it's a bit of superstition at this point. He's done because he did 3 and 4 season 1, and so he went ahead and did season 2, and now it's just like we don't want to break from that. So he always does 3 and 4, and then it's exciting because we're able to bring in an exciting guest director. Usually, we did Andrew Stanton for season 2, and this year Uda Brisowitz, who crushed it.
Amazing. Those episodes are insane.
She's incredible.
Insane.
Yeah, she's unbelievable. I mean, she's done a lot. She's did a ton before. I mean, she's like a veteran, and she started out as a DP. She did. I thought, in my favorite episode of Westworld, season 2, and we were like, we have to get her. And she absolutely crushed it.
You both utilize score as a leading character. It's so brilliant because, like, I'll take this from one of the actors earlier. It's like the heartbeat of the episode. It's such a massive part of the emotion, the storyline, everything you're doing. Do you give them any of that on set because it is so in sync with what they're doing? And my favorite thing you guys do is you go from like that happy to the dramatic, and it's like so well done. Like, my emotions just roller coaster throughout that. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you. I think I mean, we do occasionally, especially if it's a big emotional scene where or it's a really scary scene. Those are sort of the two when we need, if the actor wants it, we always provide, we blast, either some very emotional music and then like everyone's in the crew's crying and it's great. Or if it's really scary, particularly, a lot of times these monsters, they're obviously not real. And so you have, they're looking at like a beach ball attached to a stick. And so to help amp that up, we'll play music. And sometimes, it is from our composers on the show. And then sometimes it'll just be like Jurassic Park or something else that just helps them get in the space.
Yeah, I know we played, like, there's sort of these Spielberg-y sequences in the mall where they're hiding. And I'm sure we definitely played John Williams for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the actors don't want them, and oftentimes they do. Especially the kids, it helps them a lot, and I like it. It helps me when I'm watching it. It makes the scene feel more complete and alive. And you're right, and like music is such a big part of the show. So it's not, when we're able to do it, it's nice. The problem is then you can't use any of the dialogue or any of the audio.
You have to ADR
You have to ADR all the breaths, all the screams, or whatever. So that is the one downside of doing it. So whenever we get in post, I'm mad at myself for playing music. But in the moment on set, it's it can be essential.
That's amazing. I have so many questions, so I'm going to try and rapid fire these. Yeah. I love, obviously, the introduction, this music and the credits. So much so that I guess I've now watched 8 times 3 was like 24 episodes. I've watched it.
I'm glad you watched it through. Yeah.
So even on the 3rd season, it gives you an option to skip. I never skip it. Talk about how that came about in the sense of like how you created that title sequence, because it is so fascinating. And then when you go through the letters, it's so cool.
Right. Well, I think so very early on were there all these incredible elaborate title sequences, and we knew we didn't really want to compete with that. We wanted to do something more like simple and basic, and we talked a lot. There was a title designer in the 80s, Richard Greenberg, who did, I mean, like any great film with a great title sequence that you can think of. I mean, Alien and Superman and Altered States and Untouchables and whatever. So, so when we told the company who did the titles for us, Imaginary Forces, when we said Richard Greenberg to graphic designers, he's like a god, and they were thrilled that someone wanted to do a Richard Greenberg.
Some people didn't understand because it's just letters, but they understood right away when we mentioned Greenberg that the simplicity could be more effective and help it stand out more amidst this crowd of, again, like Matt's saying, increasingly elaborate sort of CG sequences.
And keeping it short. We were, keep it short, 30 seconds, and then or whatever. Because to me, when I end up skipping title sequences is when they run a minute and a half or 2 minutes. But that was the idea. It was short enough. The ones I don't skip tend to add to the mood of the piece.
Remember
and
Breaking Bad, how short theirs was? It was like this, like one. It was like it was perfect.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I reached out to some of your fans. I got a fan question for you guys. This I thought was the best one I received. So I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and hit. There we go.
Oh my God.
Hey boys, what's going on? So we just wanted to ask you when we'll finally have the opportunity to make a movie with you. You just keep re-upping your deal on Stranger Things. So,
And we
I
hear
don't know.
season 3 is the best yet,
Yeah.
so can't wait to see it.
We'll target 2025. How's that?
So the Russo brothers said they've been trying to work with you guys for a long time.
They've been really supportive. I don't know, it's like the brother
The
thing or
brotherly thing.
whatever.
I think part of it's the brother thing, like nerd brothers, and I don't know. They're like, they really know their stuff, obviously. So and we don't, especially as this show has grown, we're moving more into like blockbuster territory with lots of big visual effects.
Yeah.
No one, right now has more experience with cutting edge visual effects than the Russos. So they're like good. Whenever we can, we sit down with them and pick their brain.
Do you really?
Yeah. How did you do this? How do you do that? I don't know. I mean, a lot of the stuff we don't know how to do.
What is something specific you took from like an MCU film in regards to like a visual effect that you were like, how did you do that? I can apply it here.
It's more like, when we're talking to them, it's more like process. How long are you shooting? How many cameras do you have set up for these sequences? And they just have an overall approach that allows them to pull off these films relatively quickly. And so, with a sense of scale that you would think would take a lot longer. So, their films are very different, but we're able to steal some of their method.
Well, and I remember specifically we were talking about visual effects, and we're like, how do you, when you see a visual effect and it's not quite right, but you don't know how to get it there, like what do you do? And they just said we just tell them to put it back in the oven. And so that's like now our go-to. If we're ever not sure of what note to give, we're just said it's not ready, go back, put it back in the oven.
But one of the things I want to mention, I love the scene when they go see Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of it being a kid sneaking into R-rated movies.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first sneak into an R-rated film?
We were goody two shoes. I mean, in terms of I don't think we had the courage to sneak into an R-rated film. The good thing is our dad, he was a big movie fanatic. We grew up in North Carolina. His friends weren't really into movies, and they were all like sports guys. But we were into movies, and so he didn't like going to see movies by himself. So he would take us to movies we really should not have been seeing. I mean, I remember for the longest time just being the only child in these movies. So we were seeing R-rated movies very, very early, and then we would just we would rent basically whatever we want. I remember telling her mom like Evil Dead, it's unrated, but
second one.
But we were like, I think I was 10, and I said it was unrated, but I lied. I said Leonard Maltin said it would be PG-13 in his book. So, and she goes, Leonard said it would be PG-13, okay. And then we rented it and have been traumatized.
Yeah, Evil Dead's definitely like not one you can probably slide by. It's like the hand. It's amazing.
Not
to
okay
watch.
for an 11-year-old.
No, it's really disturbing.
I can say, and like the humor of it goes over your head.
One thing I want to say, I love the fact that you guys combine practical and CGI masterfully. Unfortunately, I can't ask you a lot about season 3 because it's so spoilery, but I'll tell the audience it is the best season. I love this season so much. But I want to go back to season 1 because I think one of the coolest visual effect shots I've ever seen is the van flip. And I just wanted to know, can you walk me through how you achieve that? Because you cut out to this long shot of the flip in slow-mo as the kids are riding, and it's like blows my mind every time I watch it.
Well, what's fun about that one is it's not really visual effect. I mean, the kids weren't there obviously, but the van, actually flipped. And the first time we did it though, they had the camera set up and the van went and just didn't make it far. It just skidded, just slammed right into the camera, just destroyed the van, destroyed the camera, destroyed everything. And there was a lot of pressure to go like, let's just make a CG van. And Matt and I really thought it wouldn't look quite right, so we said, let's just try it one. Please, can we try it one more time? Yeah. And luckily, our line producer wrote the check, and they did it one more time, and it was perfect. So it's just you shot that wide shot, van flipped, then you had the kids bike through, and then they just like the easiest visual effect ever, just sort of comped the kids in there, and there you go. But I think that's one reason it looks good. It says we did it.
It's unreal.
If you can do it for real, that's the way to do it.
In camera.
That's what it's going to look
in
real.
Camera,
Yeah, in camera. Yeah.
All right, 2 more quick ones. Millie Bobby Brown, the blood drip. It happens a lot in this season.
It does.
And I was just curious, is how that, because she was telling me that it was achieved. They shoot it up her nose, or it wasn't thick enough. Like how did that process change?
It's been
so crazy.
No, season 1, you're trying to do the blood drip for real, which is I don't even remember
they
how
stuck
we were
a little
doing
like sponge in there.
A sponge, basically, and it would slowly drip. It was a nightmare. Now basically what we do, you paint it in. I mean they put it in, but it's already dripped out, right? And then
because you come to her and it's already down.
It's already down.
Yeah.
No, but then if we need it to fall, we erase it, and then our artists make it drip.
All right, last thing to wrap me up. This show is incredible because it obviously takes place in the 80s, this particular season, and you shoot digitally.
Yeah.
But it looks like film.
Oh, good. I'm glad you think it does.
How do you do that?
We have an incredible colorist, Skip Kimball, and he really helped design the look and aesthetic of the show. We told him really early on we wanted to look filmic. We wanted it to look like it was from that era.
Yeah.
So he has a process. It's real scanned film grain that he puts over it. So I think that's what gives it that softer look, aesthetic. So it's shot on a red camera, it's shot on a digital camera, but with an added layer of real grain.
It's sort of soft. It gives it makes it feel older. It softens the edges, so you get rid of some of that sort of digital crispness, which helps it feel of the period.